Hello students. Let's study blood circulatory system. Now, the most important organ for circulation is heart. Heart is situated in the center between the two lungs above the diaphragm, and its length is 12 and 9 in width. Such small organ which is like your closed fist circulates the blood throughout the body throughout life. So let's study the structure. Now, if you observe the heart from outside, it will look like this. It has got a membrane which covers, which is known as pericardium. And there's a fluid, pericardial fluid, which helps it to move continuously, and whatever it does not allow mechanical injuries because it is moving and continuously moving throughout life. So covered with pericardium, and in between there is a fluid which is pericardial fluid. Now, the heart has got four chambers, two atria, and each one is known as atrium, singular is atrium, plural is atria. So, two atria and two ventricles. The walls of the atria are not as strong as the ventricle because ventricle has to supply blood farther. In fact, the left has to supply throughout the body through aorta. So here, this is the structure. Now, which are the vessels which are entering the heart, which supplies the blood and it enters? So here you can see the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Superior means it collects the blood from the head region. Inferior means it collects the blood from the lower region. So these are the vessels. These are the veins which are entering the heart. So here both they come together and enter the atrium, right atrium. Superior and inferior vena cava, they enter the right atrium. And what else is entering the heart? Now, right superior and inferior vena cava. Left, it is the pulmonary veins. The pulmonary veins, they enter, they bring pure blood, oxygenated blood from the lungs. So they are entering. Entering is done to the atrium. And which are the blood vessels which are taken off from the heart? So it is taken off from the ventricles, right and left. So which vessel starts from the right ventricle? So here you can see this is the right ventricle and it goes to the pulmonary. Now from the right ventricle, this pulmonary arises. Now, this is the pulmonary artery which arises, bifurcates into two, reaches the two lungs. So, this is the vessel which is leaving. It is the pulmonary artery which is taking deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation. What else is leaving? Now, it is the aorta. This is the pulmonary vein and the aorta. Aorta also, this is the aorta. This is the aorta which leaves the heart. You can see this aorta which leaves the heart and it supplies blood throughout the body, upward as well as downward till the toes. So these are the vessels which are living. One is pulmonary artery and aorta, which is pulmonary artery and aorta leaving the heart. Now, There are vessels which are supplying blood to the heart itself. Heart is like a cashier which deals with lot of money, but very little money he gets as his salary. Same way, heart supplies lot of blood to each and every part of body, but gets very little blood. Now, which are the vessels which are supplying blood to the heart? It is coronary artery. Three major coronary arteries, they supply blood to the heart. That is, it starts at the base of the aorta. Aorta, as it takes the blood to different parts of the body, it gives out branches, that is coronary artery, pink color structure which you can see. These are coronary artery which supplies blood to the heart itself. It nourishes the heart. It supplies oxygen to the heart, and whatever the metabolic waste of the heart is taken by the coronary veins. Simultaneously, coronary veins are present which takes away the waste from the heart. Now, sometimes there might be blockage in this coronary artery. If there is blockage, then the muscles which are surrounding won't get nutrient, won't get oxygen. It will be deadening. They will be dead like. So the muscular movement becomes difficult, and that is known as heart attack. The person who's suffering from this blockage will have pain which is known as angina pain, angina pectoris. So here, this is the myocardium. These are the muscles of the heart. So myocardial infarction will take place, which will lead to the angina pectoris, the pain. So the person has to be taken to the doctor, and the blockage is removed, and the person becomes normal. It's a surgery. So these are the vessels which are taking care of the heart itself. So here this vessels, they protect the heart. So these are the vessels entering and going out. Now, if you take, this is the frontal view of the heart, but if you take the section of the heart, you will be able to see the atria and ventricles and other structures associated with it. Now, the muscles which are present in the atrium, they are thin layered, but still they are powerful to pump it to the ventricles. But the muscles of ventricles are more powerful. Right ventricle, still it is thinner than the left ventricle, because right ventricle, it has to supply the blood only till the pulmonary artery. But the left ventricle has to supply the blood to aorta, to supply to different parts of the body. So it has to be powerful, and it has to pump with lot of pressure. Now, continuously contraction and relaxation of heart takes place. So when the atria, they contract, the ventricles, they relax, and when the ventricle relax, the atria contracts. So contraction relaxation continuously takes place. So when contraction takes place, it is known as systole. When relaxation takes place, it is known as diastole. Now, as the blood enters through superior and inferior vena cava into the atrium, now atrium is full of blood. Both the atria, they are full of blood. They will pump, they will contract, systole of atria takes place, and they'll pump the blood into ventricles. Now, the most important structure Here are the valves. Valves are very important in heart because they allow the blood by opening, and they discontinue or they stop the backflow with closing. So opening and closing of valves are very important in heart. Now, here, as the blood from the atria goes into the right ventricle, which valve is going to open? Tricuspid. Tricuspid, because they are three flap. So they will open like this. They are three flaps, therefore three cusps. Cusp means they will have a fold like this. So three in number cusps are present. Now, when it has to open, it will open the wall. They are like this held and they will open, they will give passage for the flow of the blood. So, when the systole of atria takes place, the blood comes into the ventricle because tricuspid valve has opened and it allows the blood to flow. Now, systole of both the atrium will takes place, both the atria, plural is atria, both the atria contraction systole will take place and both the valves have to open simultaneously. One is tricuspid and the other is bicuspid. Bicuspid because it has cusp-like flap, two flaps. Two flaps, therefore bicuspid. This flap will open, both the flaps, both the walls will open and allow the blood to flow into the ventricles. Now, most important thing here is the closing of the wall, because it prevents the backflow of blood. Because here, as the systole of ventricle will take place, tendency for the backflow of blood is there. Therefore, the walls have to close when the contraction, when the systole of ventricle has taken place, the valve has to close. Now, here there are coordinate tendinae. They are tendinous fibers which are present, which are attached to the papillary muscle which are present in the cardiac muscles. So it's like a parachute. Papillary muscles, they have the fibers, coordinate tendinae, which are attached to the walls, and they will allow the walls to open and close. This coordinate tendinae are the powerful fibers, tendinous fibers, which allow the opening and closing of valves. So when the systole of atria takes place, diastole of ventricle takes place. It expands, the blood flows, the valves they open. And there is a powerful septum which is present between the auricle and ventricle. More conspicuous is the septum which is present in between the two ventricles. Now, there are other walls. Now, the blood has come into ventricle and now the ventricle has expanded. Now, it will undergo after diastole, systole will take place. Why? It has to pump the blood further. So, right ventricle will pump the blood into this pulmonary artery, will pump into the pulmonary artery, and this left ventricle will pump into aorta. You can see the opening of aorta here, and simultaneously both these walls will open and allow the flow of the blood. Pulmonary artery will take it to the lungs for oxygenation. Aorta will take the blood to all the parts of the body. Here you can see the head region, and here you can see it will come downwards. Now look at the walls which are present here. These are semilunar walls of pulmonary artery. Now they are pocket shaped. There is a difference between the walls present here and the walls which are present here. They are semilunar. Semi means half. Lunar means its moon is known as lunar. Half of the moon, that is semi-lunar valves. They are again flap-like, but they have pockets which get filled with blood, which helps in closing the valves. So here, semi-lunar pocket valves of pulmonary artery. Now this bicuspid valve is also known as mitral valve. This is the septum of the heart. Here, this at the base of the aorta is present the semilunar valve of aorta. Here you can see this aorta has got the semilunar valves. Their flaps have pockets which get filled with blood, and it helps to close the valve. These are the papillary muscles. Blue color structures are papillary muscles, which has got coordinate tendinae. And this is known as the tricuspid valve, which is present in between the atria and ventricles. So this is the walls. You can understand the walls, different walls which are present. Now how the walls they work. Now this diagram shows the atrial systole. That is, atria is getting contracted. Now it is simultaneous when atrial systole takes place, the ventricle diastole takes place, that is expand. It expands. Now here you can see which walls have opened. Bicuspid and tricuspid. This third is the tricuspid and here second is the bicuspid. Both the walls have opened with the noise. Now this noise is like thump, thump. When DUP happens, when there is atrial systole and ventricle diastole, the atria that is getting contracted and ventricles they have expanded. Bicuspid, tricuspid walls both have opened. That movement, the whole noise which you can hear is DUP, DUP. So here these two walls are open, but other walls will be closed. So let's see which walls are closed. Now this is third and this is second, which is first and second, which are open. This is the first one and the second one. These are open, bicuspid and tricuspid. So now which will be closed here? The one which is going to the pulmonary artery is closed. Pulmonary artery, because once it's entering in ventricle, nowhere should it go. So here this is closed. It will not enter the pulmonary artery. And again here this vena cava wall, the wall of vena cava connecting to the atria will also be closed. So the blood flows only in one direction, that is this one. You can see the arrow, and this is into the right ventricle. And the closed, here the valve is closed, and this is pulmonary artery is closed and aorta is also closed, because as the diastole of ventricle, this both the ventricles will expand. So both the walls which takes blood from the ventricle have to be closed so that the backflow of blood does not take place. That is, only inflow takes place. It only receives blood from the atria. So both the ventricles, they receive the blood from the atria, other walls are closed. Other walls are pulmonary artery, aorta, and here vena cava and pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins valve is also closed. So this is what happens in atrial systole and ventricle diastole. And DUP is due to the wall that is opening bicuspid and tricuspid wall. Now, after the atrial systole and ventricle diastole, now opposite will take place. That is ventricle systole and atrial diastole. So this ventricle systole, that is, this walls are closing. Here it is opening, here it is closing. And as this closes, there is a sound LUB. The sound here you can hear is it has closed. Both this wall, bicuspid, tricuspid, they have closed and there's a sound LUB. So if you hear any hard sound with your ear, you will always hear LUB, DUP, LUB, DUP because of this wall closing and happening. So when LUB sound you can hear when the bicuspid and tricuspid open. When DUP, when LUB you can when they DUP is when they are opening and LUB is when they are closing. So LUB means they have closed, snapped, and DUP means they have opened. And simultaneously the other walls are opening. So now this bicuspid, tricuspid are closed. So other walls will be opening. Vena cava wall will open, so the blood will come into the atria. This aorta will be open, pulmonary artery will be open, and here the pulmonary veins also open. So pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, vena cava, aorta, all the other walls will be open now. Only the closed one will be bicuspid and tricuspid. So this is what happens in ventricular systole and atrial diastole. So this is how the contraction takes place. This is how the opening and closing of wall takes place. Now, systole of atria. Systole of atria, it takes place in 0.15 seconds. The heartbeat, heart rate is around 72 for adult human. The smaller the size, more is the heartbeat. If you see the heartbeat of a baby, then it is very fast because they have a small size. The smaller the size, more is the heart rate, and it is beneficial for them. They get more oxygen, more metabolic waste is taken, more heat is provided. So here this is how it works, and it works with all the animals. Huge animals, the heart rate is very less. Blue whale, largest animal, the heart rate is just 15, whereas elephant 25. Horse is 40. And as you go for the lower animal, it goes on increasing. Humans, it varies with male and female. Male it is 64 to 72 and female 72 to 80 approximately. So what is the time of systole of atria? 0.15 seconds. Now systole of ventricles, that is 0.30 seconds. And for some time, 0.40 seconds, both the chambers, all the four chambers, they relax. That is systole of the heart, both the chambers. So all chambers are relaxed for 0.40 seconds. And total you can see that the cardiac cycle is of 0.85 seconds. So this cycle of contraction, relaxation, diastole, systole goes on continuously throughout our life. Now, where is the part where the heartbeat initiates? There's a fibrous network which allows the contraction and relaxation to take place. So at the base, now as this vessel, superior vena cava, that blood enters the atrium at the start, there's a point, sino-auricular node. You can see here in the atrium, right atrium, there's a sino-atrial node, SAN, S-A-N, sino-atrial node, which initiates the heartbeat. Now it is carried to this AV, that is atrioventricular node, which is present in between the atrium and the ventricle, just at the base in between atrium and the ventricle. There's a node which is present, which is atrioventricular node. Now the uh, sensation, the fibers, they carry the sensation of this contraction and relaxation to from SAN to AVN. From AVN, it is taken, this network is taken to the bundle of His. Now, this is the atrium, both the atrium, there is ventricle. At the junction of atrium and ventricle, this AVN is present. And from AVN, there are fibers, there is bundle of fibers which are known as bundle of His. They are bundle of fibers. So here from SAN to AVN there's network, and from AVN there's bundle of His which is present in the partition of ventricles. Now from this bundle of His, there is network in the ventricles. There is network in the ventricles of Purkinje fibers. Purkinje fibers. They are little different from bundle of His. So bundle of His carries the conducts the impulse, and then it is taken by the Purkinje fibers in the ventricles, and this is how this contraction and relaxation takes place. Now this SAN is known as pacemaker because it starts the contraction, relaxation and continues the pace of the heart. But due to some reason, this does not work properly, and there might be pain in the person. So here this is a device which is known as pacemaker. Artificial pacemaker is fixed here so that the contraction and relaxation takes place smoothly. So this is how the development, and now there are various techniques developed for the heart. There are artificial walls. Sometimes the walls may not work properly and the backflow might take place. So there are techniques to replace the wall, and there are techniques to remove the particles, triglycerides, which have developed in the arteries and make the functioning normal. So there are various techniques for the smooth functioning of heart, which helps in the circulation of the blood throughout the body.